Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for yet another installment in our new figure showcase series. And this week we're going to continue with the rooted hair figure styles, and we're going to be taking a look at a newer figure I'm adding into the collection, one I'm really excited to look into because it's my first Hot Toys Artisan figure, and that is going to be Captain Jack Sparrow, based on his appearance in Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales. Look, full disclosure, I love Captain Jack, right? I think he was a great character that Johnny Depp really brought to life. And surprisingly, for a series of movies that probably shouldn't have worked based on a ride, I've enjoyed all of them. Sure, it's been a case of diminishing returns as the movies have progressed. And, you know, some people did seem to get a little tired of Captain Jack Sparrow's antics, but I always thought it was interesting. It was an interesting take on a lot of different stories from that era, and the characters and just the entire feel of those movies was really something to be said. So this is not the first Hot Toys Jack Sparrow we've gotten, right? We got a bunch from, I think it was at World's End, and then we got a couple of DX figures, including that first DX that I do own, and the second DX with the shark diorama, which I did not own. So some people who have that one are going to be more able to compare kind of the two more recent releases together. So for me, this is going to be very much a standalone. But let's take a look at what Hot Toys is giving us here. And you are getting a decent amount of things. Although I will say the ones that immediately kind of come to mind and take overpowering everything are the big ship wheel, and then the diorama base with the planks on the water. So it's very visually just stunning. And then you do get a bunch of accessories that we're seeing here, including the hands, which have not been without controversy, a bunch of weapons, a bunch of the accessories, including this famous compass that he uses. Right there's a gold chest, and then you are seeing the way that Hot Toys is also transporting their artisan sculpt here in a clear plastic container. So just very interesting and a decent approach. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the accessories, and we're going to start with the controversial item here, which are the hands. Look, we always look at those first. I will say, first impression, these are really amazing, right? From the tattoos on the fingers to the different accessories on the rings, and then the actual fabric wrapped around his right hand. All very well done. The big issue here was you can definitely see some lines in the hand, in the right hand with the fabric wrap, where there should have been some paint applications done by Hot Toys to kind of create the illusion of the leather straps continuing through around the fingers. Not excusing them, they definitely didn't do it. But I will say, once you see this on the figure, I personally didn't notice, so for me it wasn't a huge issue that impacted the figure as a whole. But I do have to say, yes, they are unpainted, and you have to really look carefully though, and really be staring at these to notice. At least that's the way I feel. Now, you do get a sword, which is plastic, on a plastic sheath that then connects to the leather strap that he has. It's really well done, but overall I do wish it had been done with metal, but metal does add extra weight to these. And then you do get that dagger that will tuck into his kind of his clothing overall. Then you do get two pistols, very similar in design. I do think there is some really great detailing here, in particular at the bottom of the handle, where you have these kind of silver inlaid elements, or faux silver inlaid elements, that create this look of faces, right? And then you've got the detail themselves with the faux wood, and then all the metallic pieces that kind of create the rest of the weapons. So the detailing, the weathering on these, all really well done. And unfortunately, they're going to be tucked in for the most part with your figure, but I do have to give Hot Toys credit for doing all this detail work on the silver inlay work. Then you do get his compass, which, if you're a Jack Sparrow fan, you know that compass is kind of a critical piece of who he is and the deals that he's made. The detail on these are again amazing. It does have a functioning latch to allow you to open it when he's holding it, and then otherwise it can dangle on his belt. And then you do get this not telescope, but this scope overall. Works well. It's molded, it's not collapsible, it's not something he can actually wear on him, so it's just an accessory to use. And then you get all these extra little accessories that are going to get wrapped around his belts and the like, including a shrunken head with real hair, and then just almost like a good luck charm that he has. So everything is done well, right? Everything is glued together, so you don't really have to worry about the hair not really sticking. So it is what it is. Now, the hat, this was a pleasant surprise, and again, not having the previous DX version, I can tell you that not sure if this is what they did with the other DX, but this is an actual material hat, so there's a nice feel to it. It's not plastic, so there's just really nice work here in terms of the tailoring and just the feel of it overall. Next, you do get the wine bottle where the black pearl, the shrunken black pearl, is hidden within, so that's pretty cool, right? You can't open this, you can't remove it. It's got some nice detail work, including kind of the wax seal at the end, but it's really well done. Next, you get two accessories that do also function as part of the diorama. So the first one is a chest, which is functional, and the second is a lantern. Now, the lantern does have a light up feature, but you do have to use button cell batteries. I personally chose not to install those because I'm never going to use them. But look, everything here looks great, especially the chest. Once you open it, the detail work on the inlaid gold coins, they did a really, really good job. Now, the wheel. This we've gotten before with that very first DX, right? This is not the first time we're getting this. It's still a massive piece for a diorama, right? There's a rope that's wrapped within, right? There's a ton of detail work on the surface of this, showing kind of wear and tear, oil, and just the like. It's really well done. And then this in turn also sits on the main base, which just shows a ton of floating debris on kind of raging water, with the Jack Sparrow nameplate on it. So detail wise, I like how Hot Toys did the water here, kind of creating that the image of rope holding these pieces of plank together. I will say the way that the wheel is secured on this stand, you can kind of see the slots on the surface where it just basically sits on it. So not the most secure, but just something to be aware of when you're repositioning. Make sure you hold on to that wheel so it doesn't fall. So now getting onto the figure itself, let's start with the sculpt. You do get two different sculpts, essentially. So the first one is a serious one, which we're looking at here, and the other one is a smiling one. Now, I will say detail-wise, from the eyes to the eye makeup to the facial hair, looks incredible. Now, the likeness, I don't think is a question here. What is at question, as my first artisan, is the rooted hair. So the bandana itself is also actual fabric. The sculpted version of this figure includes a plastic bandana, so great to have it all here be real. But the hair is so well done, with the dreads being tightly packed. You do still have strands of his actual hair that are kind of wrapped throughout. It's just incredible work, right? This is a complex looking figure and a complex looking bit of hair, and the fact that Hot Toys was able to do this is just impressive. So look, if they were going to showcase what they could do with Artisan, this was definitely a figure to do that with, and I think they just killed it, right? So a lot of credit to what they were able to do with the hair, and surprisingly the hat does fit in nicely, and you don't have to worry, at least I didn't feel like I needed to worry about the hat messing up the hair, because it sits pretty nicely on the bandana. So it's just a beautiful figure. Now, enough with the sculpt, which is incredible, right? The rest of the figure is also awesome, right? The tailoring on the jacket is a wire jacket, so you can create, again, some dynamic posing with him, right? He's got the shoulder tie that holds his sword in place. He's got all these kind of integral and complicated looking belts around him, and that belt, the main belt where you kind of tuck in the guns and the smaller knife, there's an actual texture to it, and the material almost does feel like scales. So kudos to Hot Toys for what they were able to do here. Like, tailoring is incredible, right down to the boots that are actual fabric, and they don't have a split cut because they don't need one, but they just look phenomenal, right? The entire figure overall just screams detail. And look, as far as posability, I had no issues whatsoever with the poses, right? He can hold the accessories well. He holds his gun, his sword. There's just so much you could do here. I didn't even try to remove the jacket just because of the hassle, and I don't want to kind of overdo things with the hair, but you can if you want that look. But again, for me, I just like the complex look of the complexity that comes with the jacket and just how ornate and awesome everything looks. So really a home run by Hot Toys. Going back to the hands, I think for me, right, and I can only speak for myself, yeah, the hands should have been painted. There's no doubt about that. But does it detract from the figure overall? It does not, right? With everything that Hot Toys was able to do here, with everything that they were able to do, in particular with that head sculpt, and with every different style of hair he has and how complex that looks, and what Hot Toys was able to do, it's just amazing. Is there some laziness with reuse of parts? Absolutely, right? That's something we've just come to accept from Hot Toys. If you don't like it, right, that's your prerogative. But for me, it's just something I've accepted. And again, when you look at the full set together, it just really, really works. So the hands, yes, they're probably the biggest issue, but in the grand scheme of things, to me, it's a very minor one. So overall, very impressive figure, very impressive, and it delivers on what it's supposed to for an artisan for me. So I'm looking forward to getting some more artisan figures in hand, even with the price point. So just my thoughts. Let me know yours, and we'll touch base on the next video.